Cheers.
Good.
Cheers, Jeff.
Good.
You might recognize Jeff Crume from IBM's technology YouTube channel, where he teaches clients and people around the world about security, hybrid cloud, and AI. And what I was curious to learn about with Jeff was how this type of content has transformed his career. He's not always done this. He has been a solution architect at IBM for many decades, and it is something that has completely changed the way he approaches clients, client engagements, and communicating with internal IBMers as well as the broader community. So we dive into just a handful of questions around how B2B communication has changed and evolved over the years and how it has personally impacted him and his relationships with his clients.
Yeah, so my name is Jeff Crume. I am a security architect. Been with IBM for almost 42 years now. So I went straight from the neonatal unit right into the workplace because I couldn't possibly be any older than that. I lead a team of cybersecurity architects that cover all of the Americas, North and South, in a technical pre-sales kind of role, dealing a lot with security software. And then on the side, I have a hobby I like, and that's teaching. I'm an adjunct professor at North Carolina State University, and the semester just started, so we're back to teaching and enjoying that kind of experience as well.
I love it. And I can wholeheartedly say that I think your students should view you as a very hip person, Jeff, because I obviously, as people might recognize you, you're very big on IBM's technology YouTube channel. And that's not your primary role, as you just explained.
Right.
You're an architect, and this has kind of shifted since you have begun prioritizing creating this type of video instructional content. So maybe let's just start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I look back over the arc of my career, and I've tried to always, see what is the next thing that's coming, and then run toward that, wherever that light is, and run toward that. And there was a time about 25 years ago when that was about writing a book on cybersecurity. We didn't even have the term back in those days. It was internet security. It was very new. A lot of people wouldn't have done much with the internet because it was so new and so misunderstood, and a lot of security controls not in place. So I wrote a book called What Hackers Don't Want You to Know. And it got a lot of people thinking. It was a way to reach a lot of people around the world, got translated into 4 different languages. So it was accessible, in a lot of places that I couldn't be all at the same time. So I found that to be very useful. Then there was a time when blogging was very new, and I started moving into that as a way to reach yet even more people and get the message out. Try to share experiences and lessons learned that I'm getting, because I'm working with literally hundreds of clients on a year by year basis. So I try to take those learnings and strip out any of the privacy or sensitive aspects of it, anonymize all of that, and just kind of give the lessons learned and share those. And then now what I'm doing, as you said, is on the IBM Technology channel on YouTube, which again is a worldwide, very accessible kind of content. We can reach a lot of people who are everything from students to CISOs, Chief Information Security Officers, or others, and try to make the content very accessible and understandable, easily digestible by the majority of people. And I've just found that in moving to where people are, that's where you're going to make the biggest impact. And right now, a lot of people are in video forms on the internet. So move from print to blogging to now video. And I find it fascinating because I get to interact. As I mentioned, I'm a teacher. So as a professor, I can teach 30 people in my class tonight. But if I put a lecture or a small subset of that online in YouTube, I can literally reach millions of people. And as an instructor, that's a very gratifying experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's how I obviously got to know you without ever speaking with you. In a bit of a, I think there's a word for that. I am blanking on it, but there is a word for that with the modern day influencers. But so obviously you're going to have a breadth of knowledge that is incalculable when you enter in a conversation with a client, whether that be around security or talking more broadly about our IBM's holistic strategy, just given your expertise. And so my question on that is, you're not going to be able to capture all of that in digital form or in written form. So my question is kind of like, how do you balance leveraging the digital type of content to help scale your expertise without taking away from the work you're doing live in front of a client?
Yeah, interesting point. Most of these videos, we try to keep them around 10 minutes or so that they're not just a long thing that's too hard for anyone to consume. So they're intros. A lot of them are 101, 201 kind of explainer videos that will introduce people to concepts, or in some cases clarify what's going on in some things. Like they've heard about artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning and generative AI and chatbots and large language models. Okay, but where do all those fit amongst each other? If you were to draw a Venn diagram and show how do they relate to each other, what's the differences among them? So I did a video on that. And that I see a lot of people have that question. So it's a chance for me to answer that question for a lot of people all at once. I think that's one of the major things. And the fact that it's something that is very often a conversation starter. In other words, someone says, oh, now I understand what that's about. I want to drill down more. How am I going to apply that in my environment? Well, I'm not going to be able to give that as general advice in a video that's seen by the whole world if you want to know your specific environment and how it's going to fit there. One of the major questions I'm trying to answer these days is, organizations are going to be using AI, especially generative AI, and they want to know, how do I secure that generative AI? This is a new attack surface. So I did a video on AI, the new attack surface, which tries to talk about that in a general sense, but a client is going to want to know, yeah, that's all great. Now I've got a general view of what this is, but I'd still like you to come in and help me figure out, how do I apply that in my particular set of use cases? So I see them as complementary. And sometimes I'll say, look, we just had this meeting today, or you heard me speak at a conference. Your colleagues that didn't get to hear this, and you'd like to let them at least get a taste of what this is about, here, point them. Here's the list of videos that relate to the content I talked about today. And now you can kind of share that with other people that you work with. And sometimes it's people saying, look, I've been advocating for this in my organization for years and nobody will listen. And it's like, okay, then let's leverage the out-of-town expert syndrome, where, they'll listen to somebody that's not inside the organization more than they will somebody inside the organization. And let's use that to our advantage. And so here's a video. You can pass that and say, see, this guy's saying the same thing. And it bolsters your case in the organization.
Yeah. And I think that kind of, that does get to the next question that I had, which is kind of how you've seen this improve relationships with our clients globally. Perhaps there's examples that you might have internally as well, but maybe externally, because I think at the end of the day, what we're trying to achieve is, do we have solutions and capabilities that will help our clients advance to where they're trying to go? And a lot of that is communication. And so you mentioned a lot about how you've leveraged this in complementary ways, and you listed out a couple examples. So maybe you've already answered it, but are there any, you don't have to don't name names or anything, but have you had any specific situations where this type of information capture in video form has really accelerated you and your clients' relationships to a point of saying, oh, actually, we don't have something for you, or, oh, wait, we really do. Let's get that accelerated.
Absolutely. Thankfully, this is one of the reasons why I think the company feels that this is a good use of my time, even though it's not, like you said, it's not one of my regular assignments. This is a labor of love. I enjoy doing it, so I do it. And then the fact that people give me feedback and say, I learned something. That AI versus machine learning, that's the first time I ever understood what that was about. To me, that's really gratifying. And then they say, oh yeah, we'd like to have you come, and could you give that talk to my company. We have an internal security conference, or we have a regular set of lunch and learns that we do within the company, and we'd like to have you because I've seen your content on there, and I know that you can deliver the message we need. I had one case here fairly recently where they said, and this was on the strength of these videos, and they said, we've got a university in Rome, Italy, that we would like you to come and speak to, and open it up to the public. And so there was government there was industry there was academia there, and it was a great chance to go and reach a lot of people. That would not have happened were it not for the introduction that people got from seeing some of these videos. And then other cases, they bring me in because a client wants to go down to that next level and say, okay, let's do a workshop and start applying some of these concepts. And then let's see how we can really solve those in those particular cases. So for me, it's been all of those things combined. And so I see it as a great door opener. And for our sales team is able to take these videos and send them to their clients and say, hey, look, is this what you're interested in? Is this what you're struggling with? Does this make it more clear? By the way, we got this guy, and if you want, we'll bring him to your place. And to the extent possible, I wish I could be every place at once, but I do as many of those as I possibly can.
I love it. Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, Jeff, I'll wrap it there, but yeah, I think I wanted to have a conversation with you about this topic because I've learned a lot from you, and I've leveraged your content with clients myself. And I think that just the way in which the industry is going, making information more widely accessible, more self-serviceable to accelerate us towards the point where we can get in depth in conversation, I think is where it's headed. So I appreciate you taking the time and answering some questions.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And I look at this as sometimes people say, gosh, Jeff, you're telling people how to break into systems. And I'm like, the bad guys already know how to do that. I want the good guys to know what the bad guys are doing so that then they can do the prevention, because I'm not telling the bad guys something they don't already know. But unfortunately, the good guys don't always know this stuff. So I'm trying to level the playing field, and hopefully we can do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're doing a great job. So we'll continue to echo the message and send out the content as widely as possible.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.